cloud. Yes. Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's hop right into our practice. You can go ahead and lie down on your back. Take your legs long, your arms long. Close your eyes if you'd like. And we use this time outside of gravity, lying down, to unload the body. And suspend any tension, letting it fall away. And so notice where your body meets the floor and receive the support from the ground. And especially the back of the head, let it drop and rest so that your neck can relax. Release the jaw. And soften your eyebrows. And let go of all the muscles beneath the scalp. So in this space of relaxation, start to tune into your breath in its natural state. And then we'll start to explore, so breathing all the way into the bottoms of your lungs. Then keeping it going, breathing all the way to the top. Also into the sides, the back, and even the front. As you exhale and release, feel your belly drop down toward the floor. Really actively emptying, squeezing out every last little bit of air. And take a few breaths like this. Exploring the boundaries of your lungs. Where does the breath flow freely? And where is it a little stickier, a little tougher to get into? And for each of us, it might be different. For you, it might be tough to get it into the sides. I know for me, it's really a challenge to get the breath towards the top. So notice what it's like for you. Now let's keep the same amount of attention to the breath and take it in a more natural way. So not forced or efforted, same attention with more ease. And we'll maintain that and begin our practice. Slide your feet in so they're directly below your knees. And take your hands onto the legs and start to slide them down so they're like just above the hip crease. Then press into the heels of your hands. You might feel your low back lengthen. Feeling the pelvis get a little further away from the shoulders. And as you inhale, arch your spine. So you're keeping this pressure with the hands, but arch the spine. So turn your tail up towards your shoulders. So tiny little back bend. And as you inhale, see if you can send the breath toward the bottom of your lungs. Keep the pressure with your hands. Go ahead and exhale and turn your tail up towards your knees. It's a pretty subtle movement, so it doesn't have to be too big. And with the exhale, pull your belly toward the floor so you're really emptying out the air. Kind of like a cat-cow. So let's take it with the breath. Inhale, little back bend. Exhale, round your tail up toward the knees. And my hips are leaving the floor maybe like an inch or two. Don't get too carried away with that. But go ahead and take a few of this quasi cat-cow action on your own. And I really love using the inhales to expand the low belly. You can feel it kind of stretch out the deep abdominals, the surrounding the hip attachments. And if you've been following along with classes for the last few weeks, you knew that, for the last month, we were working with our shoulders quite a bit. And we've recently transitioned into a new month. I don't know how that happened. That just snuck right up. But for this next month, we'll be focusing a lot on our glutes. All right, that's enough of that. You can release your hands. Go ahead and take them out to a cactus or T maybe. And with your feet wide on the edges of your mat, drop your knees toward the right. Whew. Let them get heavy. You might notice some resistance there. And as you soften around the thigh bones, drop the shoulders as well. Let's inhale here. Exhale, come on back to center. Switch it out, drop your knees over toward the right. Drop the effort when you get there. Notice if your shoulders or your neck tense up at all. See if you can drop that effort as well. Let's inhale into the belly. Exhale, come on back. And we'll take a few like that with the breath. So inhale, drop your knees, right? You know what, let's add in the neck too. Go ahead and look toward the left. Exhale back to center with your knees and your head. Inhale, knees to the left. We'll look to the right. Exhale, center. And keep rolling through a few of these on your own. Moving your head the opposite direction as your knees. So we get this kind of scrubbing in the back of the skull. This drawing a little more blood flow into the cranium. And you might encounter the urge to rush through these. If that's present for you, then be sure that you let go of all the effort completely at the top and bottom of each breath. So using the breath almost like an internal metronome. We're going to initiate and release the effort. And we'll finish up one more round of these. Next time you're back in the center, we'll take a really active figure four pose. So cross your right heel over your left knee, flare out your toes a lot, and use your belly to press your right knee away from your body. If possible, take the curve out of your low back so you're flattening that out. And this might be enough for you, flexing the foot, or start to lift your left leg. And instead of grabbing hold of that left leg and squeezing it in, we're doing the hands-free, more active version. So using your belly, your hip flexors to draw your knee towards your chest, left knee that is, as the right knee continues to move out and away. And when I do this, I notice that my armpits and my neck start to tense up. So the skill here is to redirect some of that work into the core. Often referred to as right effort. Inhale. Exhale, release. Go ahead and switch it out. Left heel over the right knee. Flex your foot a lot, please. Pulling your toesies back. Press your heel into the space above the knee. And even that right there is quite a bit of work. So you might decide that's enough. Otherwise, begin to draw your right knee in towards your chest. The hands free for this one. We'll have more opportunities to use the hands later. And this will be an archetype that we return to throughout our class. Last few breaths here. You might notice this side feels different than your other side. In what ways, if any? Inhale. Exhale, release. You can uncross your legs. Go ahead and cross the heels. We'll rock up and down a few times. Can kind of pump the legs as if you were on a swing. Taking a few rock and rolls, massaging the spine. If you've ever seen a hang glider take off, it's a similar action with the legs as hang gliding. And we'll all meet in tabletop all fours. And stack your hips right above your knees and your hands right below your shoulders. So pressing firmly through the index and thumb. So that'll help to protect your wrist. Okay, now in complete neutral, breathe in to grow your heart forward, the crown of your head forward. So although we're stationary, can you find length even when we're stationary? Awesome. Now inhale to your cow pose, arch your spine. Exhale to your cow, round your spine. Now you're welcome to stick with the traditional cat-cow. Otherwise, walk your hands over to the left. I'm starting with left just so y'all can see better on the video. So I'm walking my hands over to the left and they're still shoulder distance apart. Still shoulder distance apart, so I'm getting a nice side bend through the right side of my body. Take your cat-cow like this. As you arch your spine, you'll feel your right hip draw back. Maybe even looking over your left shoulder. Exhale, round your spine, squeeze everything in, still hugging that right hip back. Roll through these cat-cows, side bend cat-cows on your own. Getting right into lengthening the side bodies. And try not to lose sight of your neck, but rather continue to use your neck and your chin as an extension of the spine. And finish up the one that you're on. Come on back to center. Feel the spine in neutral for a moment, growing the crown of your head forward, your tail back. An option, if you did it on the first side, take it over to the right now. Bring a little side bend action. Hands are still shoulder distance apart, please. Inhale to your cow, arch your spine. Feel your left hip draw back this time. Exhale and round, curl everything in. Keep pressing left hip back. Go ahead and take some of these at your own pace. And I always like to say, if you find a spot that feels good, if you're rolling through this, you're like, oh, that's the stuff, feel free to hang out in that position. You can always stay for an extra breath. You can also always pause for a few breaths. For many years, I forced my breath to follow the rhythm and was kind of relieved to learn that that's not supported by science. If we really want results, positive results in our nervous system, we let the breath do what it needs. All right, next time you're through, you can come back into the center here. Back in the center, you're gonna step your knees like 2 inches forward. So you're a little bit smaller here in your table. And once more, press through the index and thumb, so you're protecting your wrists. And we'll hover the left knee, left shin above the ground. Foot as well, so you're just hovering that leg up over the ground. These are controlled articular rotations. So you're gonna squeeze the lifted knee toward the wrist a bit. Then lift your knee out to the side. And try not to hike your hip up too much, but instead of hiking the hip up, instead you're just lifting the leg bone. Lift your leg bones, that's our external rotation. For internal rotation, slide your knee back and draw your heel out. And it feels kind of goofy. So knee in, heel out, then circle your knee up in line with your hip. Nicely done. Squeeze your knee towards your wrist. We're going to take it the opposite direction. So come back, knee in, heel out. Lift your knee out to the side, heel in. Circle forward, forward, forward. And back to your starting point, release. Whew. All right, other side. So you're looking a few inches forward, so no crunchy neck here. Go ahead and hover your right shin and foot a few inches above the ground. Notice where your right hip is. We're going to try to keep the hip there. Keep the hip there. Instead, work with your leg bone. Squeeze your knee towards your right wrist. Keep your hips level as you lift your right leg bone out to the side. Nice. Now start to circle back. Let's swing the knee in, the heel out. Internal rotation. Lift your knee up in line with your hip. And squeeze your knee in towards your wrist. Nicely done. Let's go ahead and switch it up. Reach your knee back this time. Knee in, heel out for internal. Lift the knee out to the side, external, and start to circle back toward the elbow, toward the wrist. Back to your starting point. Release. Nice work, everyone. You can come take a seat on your heels, take the backs of your hands together, and take a few spins of the wrist. I know that that's a lot on the wrist. So before we head right into down dog, we'll bring a little bit of relief into the hands. All right, folks, very well done. Let's come into our downward facing dog. In your down dog, take your feet, I guess I can come back here. Take your feet wide so that your feet are on the outer edges of the mat. So feet are wide here. As you press your hands down and forward, press your feet down and back. And you're always welcome to bend your knees as much as you need here. You can surrender the neck. We have some time here, so if there's any movements that you'd like to do, you're invited to move freely. Gonna shake off the day, the week, any heaviness that you may be feeling. We give ourselves some relief, a little bit of rest from it all. We're coming back to stillness in your down dog. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward, and step your feet outside of your hands. You can step or walk. So here outside of your hands, breathe into a half lift. Push off your shins, maybe your thighs. And as you fold, put a bend in your knees and grab hold of opposite elbows. The bend in the knees is pretty subtle. You can make it more or less than subtle if you need. Then we'll shift all the weight into the left foot, kind of leaning everything to the left. Push down through your left foot. Let the shoulders drop. Coming back to center, and let's inhale the front of the body longer here in the middle. Exhale the back of the body softer. Other side, shift into your right foot, and I'm also putting a bend in the right knee as well. Shifting right, pressing right, bending right. Notice the urge to scrunch up the shoulders. Can you let that fall away? Last one, come on, back to center. Inhale the front of your body long. Exhale the back body soft. Now bend your knees, bring your hands to your waist, and slow and steady, start to roll yourself up to stand. Here you can take the feet together and release the knees down. Oop, I got the head all cut off. So we'll take our sun salute A, we're gonna add in a chair pose. Adding chair in, which I admit is a pose I really like to avoid and ignore, but not today. So with your feet together or apart, go ahead and bend your knees, touch the floor. Keep your hips low and inhale to chair. In your chair, this is our first one, right? So first let's turn the tail out. Feel that kind of sway in the low back. Then find the opposite, slide your tailbone forward, take the curve out of the back. So no scrunchy low back here. Inhale the sideways long. Exhale the outer hips drop. Once more, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Inhale to half lift, stretch your heart forward. Plant your hands, step yourself back to plank pose. Pause for a moment to squeeze your heels together. Squeeze your inner thighs together until your hands pull apart. Inhale forward to the tips of the toes. For the first one, let's drop the knees and lower all the way down. Untuck your toes. Inhale to cobra. Feel the hands pull back, the heart lift forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Few breaths here. Inhale. 4. 3. 2, 1. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Step or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale to chair pose, sit low through your hips. Exhale, Samasthiti. Picking up the pace again. Inhale to chair pose. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Stepping back to plank, exhale, lower. Maybe chaturanga this time. Inhale to back bend, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. 4 breaths. 4. 3. 2. 1. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Step or float to the front. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, Samasthiti. Again, inhale to chair, sit low. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Step to plank, exhale, lower. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. 4 breaths. 4. 3. 2. 1. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Step to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, and fold. Inhale to chair pose. Exhale, Samasthiti. Final round. Inhale, chair. Exhale, fold. Lengthen, inhale. Step or float to plank, lower, exhale. Inhale to back bend. Exhale, down dog. 4 breaths. 4. 3. 2. 1. Inhale your right leg up high, reach it way back behind you. And exhale, step forward in between your hands. You can always pick up your foot and carry it there if you need to. And you got the back knee down. And with your hands, let's walk the hands back a little bit. Begin to straighten your front leg. And for me and my proportions, I gotta wiggle my foot forward. You might need to wiggle it forward or back. And we'll inhale, stretch the heart ahead of us. Stay for an exhale, lengthen the heart forward. One more here, breath in. And out. All right, gentle bend into the front knee, letting the hips drop, the heart lift, coming into this kind of low crescent situation. And we'll breathe in to lift the front of the pubic bone up a bit. Exhale, squeeze behind the heart to open the chest. Right, now we'll come in and out with the breath. Let's go ahead and inhale, straighten the front leg, lean back. Exhale, bend your knee, lift up. And continue, go ahead and come in and out of these a few times on your own. You might even notice a preference for one movement or the other. And preferences often can lead to avoiding certain poses. I know for me, I'll take the hamstring stretch all day, but that hip flexor stretch is one of my favorite things to avoid. So instead, we kind of confront what is difficult. We take on what may be uncomfortable for the sake of wholeness. Last round or two. So next time your front knee is bent, feel your front heel and your back knee draw towards each other. We'll clasp the hands above the knee and kind of lift up and away from it. So instead of being super forward, I'm rather leaned back. I'll keep that at a deeper bend into the front knee. And let's lift up through the left hand. Lift up through the left hand and reach up through the tips of the fingers, feel the sides of the body get long. This might be enough, or you can squeeze your right waist to stretch off to the right side. Option to set your right hand down to the floor or a prop, taking a big bend through the side body. Play with growing your shoulders, or rather your ears away from your shoulders a bit. Last few. Inhale. Reach forward through your lifted arm. Forward, forward, forward. Even a little rounding of the spine as you catch your elbow outside of your knee, coming into a twist. Join your palms together. Lean your shoulders back in line with the body and press through the palms. As you breathe, inhale the heart out in front of you. Exhaling the tail back behind you. And as you continue to breathe here, find right effort. Notice where you're working the hardest, and can you distribute some of that work more evenly through the body? Inhale. Exhale, release. Whew. Bring your hands back in front of your foot, nicely done. We'll lift the back knee and lift back into three-legged dog, still on the right leg here. And exhale, squeeze your knee forward, almost like you're coming into pigeon pose, like hovering your pigeon over the ground. Stretching your heel forward. Two more, inhale, extend. Exhale, bend it forward, kind of like pigeon. This time, see if you can hover your leg just an inch above the floor. Exhale, extend. Last one, squeeze it in. This time, good news, you can just set your shin down like you're setting up for pigeon pose. Okay, untuck your back leg. For those of you that pigeon is just no fun, you can roll on your back for figure four, or you can even lean onto your right side, and I've got my back knee kind of bent. So I'm on the right hip, back knee's kind of bent, turning to face forward, and you might find that does the trick for you. Stay there. Otherwise, if you've got both hips on the ground, consider sliding your arms forward, letting the forehead rest. And I really enjoy pressing the top of the front foot down and kind of pulling it toward the back foot as I ground the top of the back foot and pull it forward toward the front. So there's this kind of coming together of the legs. This is all good, stay here, or you might take a side bend over to the right side. I'm kind of running into the wall here, but let's use our imaginations. Pretend my hands are over to the right, just like they were kind of in that cat-cow situation. So side bending to the side, try to keep your hands shoulder distance apart if possible. using your breath to dissolve any tension around the neck or surrounding the skull. Inhale. Come on back to center, slow and steady. Walk your hands in, and then we'll stretch back into our three-legged dog. So your right leg is up nice and high. Right leg is up nice and high. Now, step your foot forward about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway, then pivot all your toes to the right. All your toes to the right, then float your right arm up and overhead. So we're in side plank with a little kickstand. Now with your kickstand, turn your bottom bicep forward, press through the index and thumb. Some of us will stay here, others will slide the kickstand back in line. So you're stacking your feet. More from here, you might lift your heel, the lifted heel that is, and consider stretching your top arm overhead. And wherever you are, everything touching the floor, really grounding into it. Last breath or two. Inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Here, I'll give you the option for either child's pose or flow through a vinyasa. Wherever you are, meeting in downward facing dog. All right, let's hit that second side. Left leg can come forward, carry it if you need. And we'll drop the back foot down. Hands might need to walk like a handprint back behind you to help straighten up the front leg for our half split pose. Here you'll carve your right hip forward, breathe your chest in front of you. I like to push the heel down just slightly, just enough to feel a little more sensation. Now inhale the front of your body longer here. Exhale the back of your body a bit softer. All right, take the bend into the front knee, coming into this kind of low crescent lunge. Letting your hips move down and forward as the tail, or rather the pubic bone lifts up. Let's inhale, the sternum rises. Exhale, your front heel pulls back. All right, now we'll come in and out. Inhale, straighten the front leg, reach your heart. Exhale, bend into crescent. Move in and out of these on your own. You might identify if you have a preference for one over the other, and work towards treating the two equally. So instead of just rushing through the one that maybe you don't want to deal with, we give them both equal time. Last few. All right, next time your knee is bent, I'm gonna untuck my toe, you might do that as well, and then clasp the hands above the knee, push your chest away from it. So you're more in this vertical position. Then maintaining that vertical position, add a little bend to your front knee. Feel the front of the pubic bone lift, sternum rises, knee bends. All right. If this is enough, hang out with it. Otherwise, your right arm will lift up, bicep by the ear, reaching through the tips of the fingers, almost like you're trying to lift up away from the floor. Stay, or squeeze your left waist to bend towards the left. You might even take your left fingers toward the floor or onto a block. Breathing length through the side body, strength in the low body. Last few here, let your breath be even and full. Inhale, Start to reach forward with your lifted arm, almost rounding the spine here, enough to catch your right elbow outside of your front knee. Here we'll bring the palms to join, then press into your hands to spread the chest open wide. See if you can drag your left shoulder away from your ear. Left shoulder away from the ear. Wonderful. Now as you breathe, inhale your heart out ahead of you and your tail back behind you. Almost there, last few. Inhale. Nice work, folks. Unwind, hands down to frame the foot. Down to frame the foot, let's inhale, three-legged dog. Lift the left leg up and back. Lots of length here. And exhale, round your knee forward, coming into like a hovered pigeon pose. Hovered pigeon pose. Inhale, extend, take it back. Exhale, hovered pigeon. See if you can take it just an inch above the ground. Inhale, extend. Exhale, coming forward, releasing down to your pigeon. And just a reminder for this side, if this doesn't feel good, lean onto your left hip, bend your back knee, and take your hands forward. Otherwise, if you are in this full position, you can slide the arms away from you, resting your forehead onto the ground. And permission to experiment with pressing the tops of both feet down and pulling them towards each other. So pulling your front foot towards your back foot towards your front. And then of course, if you did on the other side, you can walk your hands over to the left side. Keep the hands shoulder distance apart so you're getting a little side bend. And different kinds of access into the hip. Inhale. Take your time, come on back to center. Walk your hands back below your shoulders. Let's go and tuck the back toe, lift the back knee, and we'll stretch it into three-legged dog. Lift your left leg up high. Step about halfway forward, like a weird lunge, and we'll pivot the feet to the left. So you're coming onto the outer edge of your back foot and pressing your entire front foot to the floor. Let's go ahead and stack the left arm over the right. Turn your bottom bicep forward, pressing through your index finger and your thumb. Great place to stay, right? So feel free to kick it here. Otherwise, slide your front foot to stack over your back, possibly extending your top arm, maybe even lifting your top heel up in line or even above the hip. Can you meet the challenge with grace? Calm face, soft eyes. Wonderful. Inhale. Slowly, carefully, down dog on your exhale. And here you got the option to either relax in your child's pose or wash it down with a downward facing dog. Or the other one. How about a vinyasa? Wash it down with a vinyasa if you want. Or it's gonna be hard. In your down dog, do a little check-in. Notice where you're at. We'll inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, bend your knees, look forward. Step to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rise, reach your arms, your eyes up. Exhale, releasing down. Nice work. Open up your stance. So set up for a wide stance. Doesn't really matter what foot. So taking your wide stance here with your feet paralleled out. Just kidding. We're going to turn the heels in and the toes out. There we go. Heels and toes out here. Now bend your knees with your hands above the knees and kind of lock out your arms. And you're really pressing the heels of the hands. You can let your hips drop, and you might even lean your shoulders a bit back. I like to shift the weight side to side, kind of see what's up with that. And then coming back into neutral, go ahead and drop your left shoulder down, turning towards the right. Inhale back to center. Other side, right shoulder down, twisting over toward the left. Inhale back to center. Go ahead and see if you feel like this on your own. Might notice the urge to rush through the unpleasant parts. See if you can rather let the breath determine how long you stay. Let the breath be full. One more. Next time you're back to center, straighten your legs. Now this is a weird stance, so try to balance here. Very much a balance pose. And we'll lift the arms up. You can keep the arms shoulder distance if you need to. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend your knees and bend your elbows, sit low. Inhale, extend and straighten. Exhale, bend and bend. 3 more on your own. Take your time. Inquire what your knees need here. So the ego may want you to go really low. Your knees might have another opinion. I'm gonna say listen to the knees. Next time your legs are straight, parallel your feet to one another. Clasp your hands behind your back. If that's not comfortable, feel free to omit the clasp and fold yourself forward and down. As you fold, you can let the arms fall overhead. Again, I'll reiterate, if the clasp doesn't feel good, you can always skip it and just fold. But feel your feet press down and back, spinning the inner thighs back behind you. See how high you can lift your kneecaps by engaging your quads. All that power through the low body allows the upper body to drop and suspend. Inhale to half lift, release your hands below your shoulders. All right, listen close here. The right hand is gonna reach somewhere on the left leg. So it might be your thigh, shin, or ankle. And as you twist your body toward the left, go ahead and reach your left arm straight ahead. Reach your left arm straight ahead. So it has like some elements of down dog here, which we've done plenty of today. And it brings in the twist, which we have also played with today. So explore what little adjustments here can you make to find more access. For me, that means pressing evenly through both heels instead of more one than the other. It means guiding my left hip back slightly and pressing my left hand down and forward as the feet press down and back. Inhale. You can slide your left hand back in, press yourself into the center. Whew, back to our starting position. Let's go and switch that bad boy out. So left hand grabs somewhere on the right leg, thigh, calf, ankle. Turn your body toward the right, and as you do, slide your right arm forward. And take your time kind of figuring out, do you have more weight on one foot than the other? And can you redirect some of that weight to balance out?
Maybe the right hip draws back. Maybe the right hand walks forward to press down. I find that the more I press through my right index and thumb, I get a little more access to the armpit, which is awesome. That feels so good. Last few breaths here, let go of the neck if you're holding it. Whew, sure was. Inhale. You can slide your right hand back in if you're ready and come on back to center. Wow, I could stay there all day, but we got things to do. So we're gonna turn our left toes out, and then you're gonna walk your hands over toward the left. And yeah, easy peasy, just with your left hand on the floor, start to stack your right hand above. Right, now you might feel like your chest is rolling forward. So I'd like to encourage you to slide your left knee toward the right to roll your chest more open, to find this more stacked position. Awesome. Now you might feel better with your front leg straight, which is perfectly fine, or you might bend the knee, but listen to what you need here. Last few breaths, you might extend your top arm up overhead. See if you can press a little more through the back foot while you're here. Yes, awesome. Inhale. Press down to lift up. Exhale, straighten both legs. Take reverse triangle. Sliding your back arm down your back leg. Reaching your top arm way up overhead. Another pose that I really enjoy avoiding is this one, revolve triangle. But here we are. Get it done. Inhale. Exhale, release, windmill your hands down to frame your foot. Turn to the right, start to walk your hands the opposite direction. You got your front toes forward, your back toes are turned in and angled, so you got warrior two in your feet. With your right hand firmly rooted and pressing, lift your left arm to stack. Now notice if your booty is way out to the right side, and sweep your right hip toward the center of your mat, right, toward the center of your mat, so you can lean your shoulders back behind you. Both feet pressing down and away from each other, down and apart. Wonderful, and you can stay or find the extension, top arm reaches, almost as if it were part of the back leg. You stay where you're at or take a deeper bend in the front knee. Inhale. All right, here we go. Push down through your feet, straighten your legs, reverse your triangle. Sliding down your back leg, lifting your top arm up and overhead. So your top arm is very much an extension of the hip here. Check in with your feet. Maybe they can press down and apart a bit more. Breathing into your right lung and right nostril. Inhale. Exhale, release, windmill your hands down to frame your foot. You can step to plank pose, either vinyasa or down dog. Choose what you need here. And whenever you're through, go ahead and take child's pose, rest your knees down. Check in with your heart rate. And come on up to a kneeling position. Take a knee. If kneeling isn't comfortable, you can sit cross-legged or stay lifted on your knees, which sometimes is helpful. Okay, so as we come into our balance pose here, most of you have probably done this in my class before. It's one of my favorites, but I just want to demo before we get into it so you don't have to look and do the thing at the same time. So coming into a standing figure four, I'll guide you through crossing your heel over your knee and pressing your knee back. So you'll notice this is almost like a weird tree pose, right? So if you have more sensitive knees, you might stay in this kind of funky tree pose with the heel over and pushing the knee back. So that's great. Either that, or you'll take yourself down into this position. You might explore a chair pose version. For those of you that have like a solid crow pose in your practice, and you want to start to, once you hang out here for a bit, you want to add more of an arm balance, you'll walk your hands forward, slide your shin above or onto the forearms or whatever they are, triceps, and then you might start to extend back. So it's a lot like pigeon pose in flight, which we've done. So many options here. Now that you know them, let's do the thing. Okay, equal standing. Shift all the weight into your left foot. We'll lift the right foot and cross your heel above your knee and push your knee back. And I know I made that look easy, so you might use your hands to help out with that. You can stay here in this position, maybe hands to heart, or sit back into your chair, lowering your hips in line with your knee. Good place to stay. You might take chair pose with the arms forward, possibly hands down toward the floor. And these are good places to stay. If you're playing with the arm balance, you'll spread your fingers wide, walk them forward quite a bit, round your back like cat back, and catch your tricep with your foot. Once you're using your knee and your triceps connected, then you might play with lifting your bottom foot, possibly extending back. Wherever you are, start to rewind your actions. Return your hands to your heart if they're not already. We'll return to standing, release, Tadasana. Check in with your mountain. All right, second side. Shifting into your right leg, we'll cross the left heel over the knee, push a lot, hang out here, or sit back into a chair. Paralleling your hip with your knee. Possibly extend the arms forward. Maybe take your hands to the ground. Now, if your hands are to the ground, you can stay here, press your hands forward, press your foot back. It's an awesome stretch. If you're taking the arm balance, you'll kind of hook your foot around the tricep, round your back like cat back, then play with leaning and lifting. If you've got your lean and lift, you're looking forward quite a bit. Wherever you are, start to rewind. Come back through your balance, hands to heart. And release, mountain pose. Take a moment to observe and check in. All right, inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward and down. Lengthen, inhale. Step back to plank. You can take your final vinyasa or down dog. From your down dog, step through to a seat. Take the bottoms, or you know what, let's come all the way down onto the back. For time's sake, we're gonna come right onto the back. Hug your knees in, take a little side to side. With your arms wide, let's set the feet down, and we'll cross the right heel over the left knee. And this time we'll take that passive figure four. Go ahead and grab hold somewhere on your left leg and squeeze it in. Try not to scrunch up your neck by your shoulders too much. You can stay here, or you'll come into this kind of supine pigeon and cradle your top shin. You can straighten your left leg. and possibly even lower it toward the floor. Supine pigeon. Staying in figure 4 if that doesn't feel right. Now, supine pigeon, friends, you can consider grabbing hold of your top foot and taking like a half happy baby, and lowering your knee down toward the floor. And this half happy baby can also be taken with a bent bottom knee. Stay here, or you can start to take your right shoulder kind of underneath that top leg. And I know that that's a lot, so you don't have to do this. But if you are playing with that, you might take your leg behind the head, right arm out to the side. I get this kind of Humpty Dumpty vibe when I do this, where I just feel like a turtle on my back or something. But that's okay. If leg behind the head is just not a thing, you can lift your forehead and take your forehead toward your foot. It is nice kind of training for leg behind the head. But let's go ahead and unwind and release. Straighten both legs. Just a brief pause between sides. I will swish it out. Left heel over the right knee, grabbing hold on the right leg to squeeze it in. If you're staying here the whole time, I recommend rocking side to side with it. A lot of good work to be done in figure 4. If you're advancing, cradle your top shin, kind of holding onto it like a baby. Maybe straightening your bottom leg. Maybe lowering bottom leg to the ground. You can always bend that bottom leg if you need to. Spending a little time drawing the shin towards the chest, pressing the bottom leg down quite a bit. Consider taking the half happy baby, maybe bending your bottom knee to help out with that. And if you want to start to lay the groundwork for legs behind the head, use your hands to turn the sole of the foot towards your face. Sole of the foot towards your face, then you can lift up through the head and take your foot towards the forehead, or you might play with that behind the head. Arm out to the side. Just a few breaths wherever you're at. As you're ready, start to rewind your actions. We'll take both legs in for a brief happy baby. Now, your brief happy baby might involve straightening one or both legs. It might be holding the knees instead of the feet. When you're ready, release your legs long, your arms long. Coming into Shavasana, your resting pose. Now in your Shavasana, you might be present with all of this little subtle sounds around you. Maybe not so subtle sounds around you. What the skill is, can we observe without attachment? Can we observe without preference? And strengthening our inner peace so that we are impervious to unpleasant sounds, or unpleasant scenarios, or rather unwavering in our inner peace. We have just a few moments to breathe with this. I'll wake you in just a bit when we're through.
can start to deepen the sound of your breathing. Bring little movements back into your body. With your knees in and your right arm up overhead, you can roll over onto your right side. And come on up to a seat, your eyes closed, your palms joined together at the heart, bowing your chin to your chest. As we go through our week, may we be aware of our preferences. May we notice if we are avoiding something and give those avoidances more time. Confront them with courage, that we may be more whole and more at peace. Namaste.